What is good? What is bragging with you? I am the DJC, aka the Don Juan Carlos, and today we're going to be talking about the new mod introduced to Destiny 2 with the new Season of the Worthy drop, the Warmind Cells. So don't touch that tab dial or pause that video because we're going to jump right into it. In case you missed it, the newest season of Destiny 2 dropped on March 10th. The new season is called Season of the Worthy. Now, with every season being released, there are actually new seasonal mods. This season's seasonal mod, as I mentioned before, is the Warmind Cell seasonal mod. Now we will go into the very different aspects of this mod and really start to learn and expand on like what's possible with this mod, what you can do with it, and really see the power and worth it is running these type of mods. So the basis for this mod, where you want to get started, which is available as soon as you get the brand new season, is actually going to be the Global Reach mod. Now, what the Global Reach mod does, defeating a combatant with a 7 Seraph weapon has a chance to drop a Warmind Cell. Now, there are currently three 7 Seraph weapons available. One is the 7 Seraph Carbine, which is the auto rifle. One is the 7 Serum VY-7, which is the submachine gun. And last but not least is the 7 Serum CQC-12, which is the shotgun. Now, defeating a combatant with each of these individual weapons, it doesn't matter if you have more than one equipped at a time, but defeating an enemy with this weapon, every 4 to 5 enemies will guarantee drop a Warmind Cell. Now, how this is going to work is I'm actually going to start from the weakest all the way to some of the strongest. Now, we're starting on Arc first, and we're going to go through all the Arc mods that are available right now. So, on the screen, you can see that I have my Iron Truge hood from the Iron Banner Season of Dawn, which allows me to put the new Warmind mods on. And the first thing I want to go over is Tyrant Surge. Now, Tyrant Surge is currently available from this season's artifact. It is in the final tree. And what the Tyrant Surge does, along with defeating a combatant with a Seraph 7 weapon, generates a Warmind Cell, which doesn't stack. Dealing arc damage with a melee super or grenade ability spawns a Warmind Cell. As long as you do damage to a single enemy with the Warmind Cell, you'll be able to generate a Seraph Warmind Cell. Now, the other mod for Arc that's available right now is Modular Lightning. Now, what Modular Lightning does is collecting a Warmind Cell generates a burst of chain arc lightning around you. Now, here's what I want to let you know. So for the Warmind Cell, for Tyrant Surge, every time you hit an enemy with an ability, there's an internal cooldown of about 7 seconds. So if you're using Pulse Nade on a Titan or Pulse Nade on Warlock, after 7 seconds, even though the grenade doesn't last that long, theoretically another Warmind Cell will spawn. Now, when it comes to Modular Lightning is a lot like Wrist Runner. So it is a much weaker version of Wrist Runner, I should say that. Now, once you jump into it, the circle around you is about 15 meters where you can chain lightning, and the lightning doesn't chain back between enemies like Wrist Runner would. So it'll dash once, but it'll go once it hits one person, once it hits one combatant, as long as it's next to another combatant, it will chain to another lightning. So I'm going to take this time to show you exactly what this looks like. So as you can see, you got a chance to see what Tyrant Surge does along with the Modular Lightning. Now, it hits every ability. You got to see what the cooldown looks like. You got to see as soon as it spawns. And I also didn't mention this before. You don't actually need Global Reach on to create the Warmind Cells, but that's like if you want your basic function of the mod for the Warmind Cells to do damage, you would put Global Reach on. So not only that, like I said, now back to where I was saying before, you got to see how the Tyrant Surge actually works. Every ability that hit cause the Warmind Cell to spawn. You got to see as well that every 5 or 10 a Seraph weapon spawns a Warmind Cell as well, and you also got to see how the modular lightning chains. It doesn't actually do, like I said, it doesn't actually chain bounce like Wrist Runner would, but it does an okay amount of damage. I would say in the tiers of damage in this mod right now, it would be it's a mid tier. It is a mid tier amount of damage, and the only bad thing about the modular lightning at the current moment is because of its small range. I believe it's about 15 meters. If and sometimes it won't chain itself because of how small it is, and you have to go pick up the cell itself. So when you hit something at range, it doesn't actually work out that well because you're putting yourself in danger actually picking up the cell. And sometimes if you're killing things as you're trying to run to the cell, the lightning will not chain and you won't get the benefit of the modular cell. So Tyrant Surge, I would put it at an A tier. And for modular lightning, it is definitely a B tier mod. Right. The next elemental subclass that we're going to go over is actually going to be the Void subclass. Now, there are two mods currently available with the Void subclass. The first one is Warmind's Protection. So, you take reduced damage from enemies that are near Warmind cells. Now, here's the most important thing about this, right? While you take reduced damage, it might not be noticeable, but definitely in a clutcher kick situation, I can see that using Warmind's Protection is actually quite valuable. But that's not the only perk of Warmind's Protection. It actually highlights all enemies a tint of yellow, so that you know which enemies are having their damage reduced, I should say. So it doesn't require you to scope in. As long as an enemy is near the Warmind cell, they will be highlighted and you will see that they are doing reduced damage. Now the range for this isn't really that long. I think it's about 5 meter range. But a 5 meter range for enemies having reduced damage, and the Warmind cell pretty much has added effects with it. It's a pretty decent buff and a good thing to have. So not only that, we have the second perk on for Void, which is actually cellular suppression. So damaging the Warmind cell actually creates a burst of suppressing energy, and you deal less damage to the Warmind cell. Now here's what I will say about this: the suppression for the Warmind cellular suppression is actually pretty strong. So it actually has a 30 meter range, and it suppresses, I shouldn't say stun, it suppresses all enemies for about 10 seconds. So it has a longer range than enemies that are doing less damage, but at the same time, you literally have enemies with a 30 meter range are not doing anything for 10 seconds. And I counted this. And there is so much freedom and flexibility that you can have with just this one mod on, that you defending a certain point in a raid or something with cellular suppression actually makes things so much easier, because you actually get two bursts because you do reduced damage. You get two bursts, so you get two 10-second stuns. So that's 20 seconds in any encounter where enemies aren't able to damage you. They're walking away from you, and they can't. You literally have freedom to do whatever you want. So we're going to cut right here again, and I'm going to just show off what the different mods actually look like in the game. All right, now as you can see, you saw what it looks like, right? You cause the Warmind seed to spawn. You can see that they're highlighted yellow even when you're not aiming those sights. They have reduced damage, and you can see how big the range is actually for the Warmind cell to stun people. So you saw me shoot it, and I actually want to correct myself. Now, you actually get multiple stuns. You get more than 2 stuns per Warmind cell, but in combination with other mods, you would only get 2 stuns. So as you can see, like towards the end of that clip itself, I stunned about three or four times. So last but not least, we have the solar subclass for the Warmind cells. So the first Warmind cell that we have, Warmind cell mod that we have for the solar subclass is the burning cells mod. Now what the burning cells mod is, once the Warmind cell explodes, it actually does a burst of damage, and any enemy in the range takes dot damage. So it does 32 damage every 7 seconds against 750 enemies. So if I do quick maths yet again, you do 7 times 2 is 14, 3 times 7 is 21, and that's about 224 damage over 7 seconds. So it's not really like a big flashy amount of damage, but if an enemy somehow lives, the burst from one of the other mods that we will go over soon enough, it'll definitely kill them. Or if there's enemies that's low and you're using burning cells, it'll definitely kill them. So the next mod for the solar subclass is actually Rage of the Warmind. Now Rage of the Warmind adds an additional solar damage to the explosions of Warmind cells you destroy. So your teammates can't destroy them. You have to be the one that destroys these Warmind cells. And the damage that you get from Rage of the Warmind is actually about, against 750 enemies, it does about 10k damage. So that stacked with burning cells, you're doing about 10,224 damage if something manages to live. And the range for Rage of the Warmind is about like 50 meters. You can literally, in the public event on Earth currently right now, if you have Rage of the Warmind cell, you can basically almost clear an enemy plate if the Warmind cell is close enough from all the way across the map. It is ridiculous, like honestly ridiculous how huge the range for Rage of the Warmind cell actually is. And if you're running this in a raid for ad control, or just doing doing damage to mini bosses, it does a fairly decent chunk amount of damage to literally anything. And last but not least, the last Warmind cell mod that we have available is actually Incinerating Light. So, with Incinerating Light, defeating multiple enemies with the explosion of a Warmind cell actually gives you Charged with Light. And that's just playing into last season's Charged with Light mod, which kind of flopped a little bit, but you're able to use Charge of Light with other mods and stuff like that, which is available. But I'll actually give my rating right now before I show it off to you. Burning Cells is definitely a B tier mod, and the Burning Cells is B tier. Rage of the Warmind is definitely S tier, and because Charge with Light, as of right now, because Charge of Light isn't as good, I would say Incinerating Light is definitely a C tier, because there's really no point of using this unless you're building specifically for Charge with Light. Now we're gonna cut right here, and I'm gonna show you what it actually looks like using these mods. As you can see, you're starting to see what the solar mods actually do. You might not have seen per se what the burning cells, which is the dot damage, actually does, solely because the Warmind cell, the Rage of the Warmind, does so much damage. It's more affects phalanxes. So if you saw, like in that clip that I showed, some of the phalanxes got stunned because the shield was taking damage from the dot damage, and that stunned them. But the range for that specific mod is obnoxious. It truly, really is. And I also didn't get a chance to show you what it looks like against bosses, but you got to see the range from which it actually does damage, and there's no damage fall off for it. So we're gonna stop right here, and then what we're gonna do is show you different bits and pieces of what you can do with this mod right here. Now, with all of that being said, you got to see all of the mods and all the different things that this seasonals mod can provide as of right now. I'm actually just going to go into the fact what makes this season's mod so strong. Let's say strong. Now, the main thing about this season's mod is that all of the different mods stack up with each other. So if you have different armor types equipped at once, you can actually equip all the different armor mods for the season. So that includes Tyrant Surge. I'm gonna do an example. You'll see it in a couple minutes, seconds, what the example is. So because all of them stack, you can actually get the effects of almost each and every single mod at once. So I'm gonna just show you right quick what it looks. As you can see right here, everything's getting highlighted. Whoops. Hit this, spawn another one, everything's getting highlighted. Everything's suppressed. Everything's suppressed again. Pop this, everything explodes. And then pop this again for a suppression, and bam, everything explodes again, and these guys take burn damage. Right? Then we go over here, pop, got one, everything's highlighted, suppressed, hit it again, suppressed again, bam, everything explodes. Then we do it one more time. Now, if I had modular lightning on, I can equip the modular lightning and pick up that cell and then do chain lightning like I am with the arc class. But that's fine because either way, these guys are still their damage is being reduced, suppressed, and explosion. So, and you can pop them with any weapon, which I'm pretty sure I mentioned earlier. But just in case you missed that, you can pop any of the modular mods with any weapons. So that's just an example of how these mods work. This seasonal mod artifact, it's truly really strong, and I cannot wait to run this in a raid because this is a bit nuts. So with that being said, we're gonna finish this video off here. If you have any suggestions for mods or things that you want me to go over again, just in case you missed it, definitely leave me a comment. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification so you stay updated every time we upload. I'll probably be currently live on Twitch by the time this video goes up, and I will catch all of you wonderful people later.